anybody, any United Methodist can submit a petition to General Conference. So there may be a total of 1,100 petitions that have to get considered. They must be considered and must be dealt with. They must be dealt with. You can't say, well, we don't like those 500, we're just not going to deal with those. They must be considered. So the kind of people you want to elect, clergy and laity, to go to General Conference, need to be people who can read a lot of material, assimilate it quickly, understand the things that are really no-brainers. We're for this, we're against this, it doesn't matter, don't care, I'm not going to spend my time looking at that. And what are the really important things? I got to look at this, I got to study it. Once you know that, it's helpful to have people who can know how to talk to other people about it. Hey, did you hear about that? What do you hear is going on with that? Who is it that's really pushing this? And you go have conversations. Now, some people think you can go to General Conference and go because I'm for this or I'm against that or whatever it is. So here's my imaginary scenario. Let's say there is a movement within United Methodism to eliminate speed limits on interstate highways in America. Just don't believe there should be speed limits. They shouldn't have any speed limits. Of course, there's a large contingent who say, well, of course there should be speed limits. Okay? So you get to annual conference, you're going to elect delegates to go to General Conference, and someone says, well, I want to make sure we elect someone who's going to go and vote that we get rid of speed limits. So they elect a person. So you go to General Conference, and by the way, there's 1,100 petitions. And part of what you find out when you go there is, beforehand, you say, I want to be on ABC legislative committee. I'm going to be on a legislative committee. There's going to be 90 people in the room. One of the things we're going to talk about are all the petitions related to the speed limit. And I find out that there are 20 petitions that say we should eliminate speed limits. There's also 20 that say we should enforce the speed limits. So now you got to go through those. I mean, which ones do you hold on to? Which ones do you say, well, no, we should ignore that one? How do you? And so what you do is you pick one that seems to be most workable and you amend that one. Or let's say you're not on the legislative committee that's working on that. Even though you've been elected to go and make sure we keep our speed limits or we get rid of them or whatever it is. And when it comes to the floor of General Conference, when you look at it, the recommendation is what you would agree with. But as they've amended the language, the stipulations are such that you realize, I can't vote for this. There's no way I can vote for this. The stipulations are crazy. And then you go home and somebody says, hey, you went to General Conference, did you vote the right way? And by that point you realize that's just a moot question. It's a completely moot question because of what happens by the time you hear of an issue to the time it gets voted on. It's a labyrinth of experience. And so when we think of who do we want to elect as clergy and laity to go to General Conference, it's important to think of somebody who can really have a big picture view. I mean, after all, you're talking about a 7 million member nonprofit organization that has over 30,000 branches and has a $600 million budget. You need someone who can think that at that scale. That's a really helpful somebody who can think more broadly, more globally. So that's General Conference. Now, I didn't even talk about the 10 days of General Conference in Portland, Oregon. And the 2 days afterwards that you just sleep. Just put it on your calendar ahead of time. I'm sleeping the 2 days after General Conference. The monthly delegation meetings, that will take a full day. I mean, it's a fair amount of time and reading. And then you get to General Conference, you do the 10 days, you sleep for 2 days. Then in mid-July, you're going to jurisdictional conference. Jurisdictional conference, really the only thing that happens there of any significance is that we elect bishops. That's where we elect bishops. And frankly, for New Mexico, what happens at jurisdictional conference is more important than what happens at general conference. That's my opinion. That's not an official, it's just my opinion. But that's where we elect bishops and where bishops then get assigned. And so it's important for us to have people there who can have those kinds of conversations. And that's about 4 days. It'll be in Wichita, Kansas in July of 2016. Yeah, that may deter interest right there, huh? Yeah, well, who wants to go to Wichita in July? So, I mean, that's part of just the picture. And another important factor is whoever the first clergy and first lay person elected, those people go on the jurisdictional episcopacy committee. That's the committee that assigns bishops to their areas. That's the committee that is responsible for the evaluation of bishops. That's a committee that meets twice a year, one of those with bishops and working through various strategies. So your first elected clergy and laity, they're going to have a significant weight to carry for 4 years. So you just need to know that. And if the person not only interested but capable of doing those things. So I'll go on to something else. So in the election, part of what we've done, the laity have always had a way to at least say, I'm interested in being elected. And then people develop little flyers, and during the laity session, they have a chance to say, this is why I'm interested in being elected a delegate. The way we've handled that as clergy over the years is you can't say anything. You can't say anything. And if you do, it's pretty good indication you're not going to get elected. And it was almost viewed as if you say, hey, I'm interested in this, people are going to look at you as, well, you're just really trying to put yourself out there, aren't you? So you might remember at last annual conference there was a motion that was approved for board of ordaining ministry, provost office, CMT, somebody to come up with a way to have conversation among clergy. And so we did that this year, and there was a form sent out to eligible clergy that if they were interested, please indicate, fill this form out, send it back in. That's going to go and get emailed to others. And 4 people did indicate interest of being elected as a delegate. So really, it's the kind of thing the laity have been doing for a long time, is really what we try to do on the clergy side. So that we just change the conversation. I don't know if it was helpful yet or not, but it was at least a way to get started. So that we'll see how that turns out. But I want to say all those things because electing someone to general conference it's an honor. Bishop Whitfield used to say it's an honor for about 10 minutes. And that's right. For about 10 minutes after that, it gets crazy. And so it's someone who's going to be spending a lot of time and energy on things. And for you, as you look to who do we want to elect, you just need to know those things in the background as you work toward election. Now, the electronic voting is going to really speed up our process. We're not going to use paper ballots. We're going to do electronic voting. Initially, I was saying I don't think we can do electronic voting because of the expense. I mean, the cheapest I was hearing from other conferences was $20,000 to do electronic voting, and I just thought that's silly. And Bishop Bledsoe was at a meeting and heard that our General Conference and General Council on Finance and Administration had contracted with some companies. And he said, well, why don't you look into it? So we did. We're going to be able to do it. It's going to be $5,000, which on the one hand, you think that's a lot. Texas Conference is spending $50,000. So, yeah, he was pretty jealous when he heard it. He was like, wow, I wish we could do that. Yeah. 5,000. But it means we're going to be able to vote very quickly. Now, if you've never done electronic voting, what will happen is clergy vote for clergy, laity vote for laity. So the clergy is the easier one to talk about, and then I'll talk about laity. Clergy, all eligible clergy in our conference are going to be assigned a number. So, let's say I want to vote for Greg, and Greg is number 79. I'm going to put in 79 Sin. I just voted for Greg. So everybody will have a number, and that's how we'll vote. We'll vote by the number assigned to the person. On the laity side, we're going to do the same thing. The difficulty with the laity side is that any lay member of any United Methodist Church in the annual conference is eligible to be elected. I think Kathy said that's 30-something thousand people. Yeah, I mean, that's... Okay, so that doesn't seem practical to do that. So we are going to assign numbers to the people who are lay delegates to annual conference. And then we're going to there's going to be the possibility for write-in ballots. And we're going to have a process, and if you want to write in, or let's say, you know of someone back home who really wants to do this, there's going to be a way to do a write-in. That person with their name will be assigned a number, and you can vote for that person. So the good thing is that, let's say it's a round of voting. And so the bishop says, when you're ready, okay, vote. And I'll punch in 79, send. Within seconds, it is tabulated and it's up on the screen saying so-and-so got this many ballots, so-and-so got this many, so-and-so got this many. I mean, within seconds. And then, theoretically, the bishop could say, okay, let's vote again, clergy. And in 5 minutes, you've done 2 or 3 ballots. As opposed to the way, you might remember the way we used to do it. Man, the paper ballots, and you stand up and you hold them up, and someone takes them and they have to bring them back and they have to enter them into the PowerPoint on the computer to put them on the screen. No, this will be almost instantaneous. So, so it'll happen, that will happen on Thursday. We have basically in our schedule 110 minutes scheduled for balloting. Probably won't need that much. Then again, who knows? And it'll be interspersed through the day. Now, what we'll do is the bishop may say, okay, we're going to do some clergy balloting. And we'll do some clergy balloting, maybe do 3 ballots. And then say, okay, the next order of business is so-and-so, come give you a report. And then a little bit later, we're going to do some more balloting. It'll just be interspersed through the day. I believe that it was in Oklahoma when they did this a few years ago. What they did was they put all the clergy in a room, and they said, you're going to vote until we're done. Actually, I kind of like that.